Discipline every single day is the one thing that can change everything about your life. It's not about big, dramatic moments. It's about the simple choices you make when no one is watching. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Imagine waking up tomorrow feeling in control, focused, and ready to take on whatever comes your way, because you've built habits that support your goals. That kind of steady effort, done daily, can open doors you didn't even know existed. This video will show you why discipline is more than just hard work. It's the key to freedom, confidence, and lasting success. Stick with me and you'll see how what you do every day shapes your entire future. Let's begin. Number 1, discipline. Starts with one small decision today. Discipline doesn't begin with a big event. It doesn't come from shouting at yourself or making loud promises. It starts quietly. It starts when you make a simple, honest decision that you're going to do what needs to be done. Not tomorrow, today. One small step. That's where real discipline begins. You don't have to figure out your whole future. You don't have to solve everything all at once. You just have to decide to act right now. That one choice creates movement. That movement builds direction, and that direction builds your life. Most people are waiting to feel ready, waiting for the perfect day, waiting for someone to come along and push them. But the truth is, nobody's coming. You're the one who has to push yourself. You're the one who has to care enough about your future to do what's necessary today. Because if you don't, nothing changes. And that's the hardest truth to face. The longer you delay, the more you stay in the same place. Discipline starts with something simple. It might be deciding to turn off the television and go to bed on time. It might be putting your phone down and opening a book that teaches you something. It might be choosing to say no to something easy and yes to something meaningful. These choices seem small, but they're not. They're powerful. Because when you make them, you're telling yourself, I matter. My goals matter. My future matters. That message, repeated every day through small acts of discipline, becomes your foundation. You don't build a strong life by chance. You build it by design. And design takes discipline. It's not about being harsh or strict. It's about being responsible. It's about knowing what you want and acting like it. It's about having enough respect for yourself to follow through, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. That's where real strength shows up. Not in public, but in private. In the early hours of the morning, when you choose to get up. In the quiet moments when you do the hard thing, even though you're tired. That's where the future is shaped. You don't need to make 100 changes today. Just one. Just the next right step. Maybe it's a decision to stop hitting snooze. Maybe it's a decision to finish what you started. Maybe it's cleaning your space, getting organized, showing up on time, or sticking to your plan. Whatever it is, do it now. Don't wait for the mood to strike. Because discipline doesn't depend on mood. It depends on commitment. It depends on character. And character is built one choice at a time. You can't think your way to discipline. You have to act your way into it. You have to feel the resistance and move anyway. You have to stop negotiating with your weakness. Weakness says, take it easy. Discipline says, do it anyway. And every time you listen to discipline, you grow stronger. You become someone you can trust. And when you trust yourself, you don't have to rely on motivation. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be real. Real about where you are. And real about what you're doing about it. That one small decision today might not feel like much. But if you follow through, it changes how you see yourself. It tells your mind that you're someone who takes action. Someone who follows through. And that message, repeated over and over, rewires your thinking. Suddenly you're not dragging yourself through the day anymore. You're leading yourself. You're stepping into responsibility instead of running from it. Think about the last time you felt proud of yourself. It probably wasn't because you got lucky. It was because you did something hard. You kept a promise to yourself. You followed through when it would have been easier to quit. That's what builds pride. Not applause, not rewards, but knowing you did what you said you'd do. That comes from discipline. And discipline starts right now. With the next decision you make. Every single one of us has the power to choose. Right now. In this very moment, you can choose to move in the direction of your goals, or you can choose to stay stuck in the same habits that have been holding you back. But understand this clearly. Time is moving. Whether you act or not, life is going forward, with or without your effort. The only question is, are you going to shape it, or are you going to let it shape you? You have more control than you think. Your life is not out of your hands. It is built, piece by piece, by the things you do daily. And those things start with decisions, small ones. The decision to try, the decision to keep going, the decision to not quit, just because it got uncomfortable. It is in those moments that discipline is born. You don't need to be perfect to start. You just need to care enough to stop drifting. Stop waiting. Stop pretending that someday is going to do the work for you. Someday doesn't exist, but today does. This hour, this minute, this decision. Choose to be disciplined now. And your future opens up. Not all at once, but gradually, steadily. And one day, you look back and realize the gap between where you were and where you are now was built by thousands of small, daily decisions. It's not a mystery. It's not a secret. It's discipline. Plain and simple. It's choosing what's right over what's easy. Not once, not twice, but every single day you can do this. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Because the life you want is possible, but only if you take control today. You have that power, and it starts with one small decision. Number 2, daily habits shape your long-term future. Every day, you're either building or breaking something. You may not feel it while it's happening, but what you do consistently is setting the tone for your entire life. What you choose to do each day, no matter how small it seems, is shaping where you'll end up years from now. It's not the big decisions you make once or twice a year that direct your life. It's the things you repeat every morning, every afternoon, every evening. If your days are filled with discipline, your future will be full of strength. If your days are scattered, lazy, or careless, your future will reflect that too. Most people underestimate the power of repetition. They think a few bad days won't hurt. They think skipping one effort doesn't matter. But nothing could be more wrong. Because habits don't ask for permission. They don't form overnight. They creep in slowly, one repeated behavior at a time, until they're running your entire life. And once they take root, they direct your focus, your energy, and your outcomes. That's why it's so important to look at how you're spending your day. Not just what you plan to do, but what you actually do. When you wake up, what's your first action? Is it focused, intentional, aligned with your goals, or is it distracted, aimless, reactive? These questions matter more than most people realize, because how you start your day affects how you carry the rest of it. And how you carry your days becomes how you live your years. Nobody drifts into success. You don't wake up one day and accidentally become strong, disciplined, skilled, or confident. These things are built, and the building blocks are your daily actions. If you want to improve your future, you don't need to wait for next month or next year. You need to examine what you're doing today, what you're choosing over and over again. That's where real change begins. That's where your life direction is set. Think about it this way. If you spend an hour every night watching meaningless content, it doesn't seem harmful. But add that up over months and years, and it's hundreds of hours wasted. Now imagine spending that same time learning something valuable, improving your health, investing in your relationships, or developing a skill. The difference between those two futures is enormous, and the only thing separating them is habit. Habits are created through choices, but once they're formed, they begin to shape your identity. When you keep doing something over and over, it becomes who you are. If you consistently avoid hard work, you start to believe you're someone who can't stick with things. If you keep showing up, Even when it's difficult, you start to believe you're someone who gets things done, and your identity drives your decisions. It becomes a loop that either pushes you forward or holds you back. It's easy to say you want a better life. It's harder to build one through the slow grind of daily discipline. But that's what separates those who succeed from those who always feel behind. It's not luck, it's not chance, it's habit. The small things done over time that compound and grow. Most people wait for motivation. They wait to feel inspired before they act. But discipline isn't about waiting, it's about showing up. Again and again, no matter how you feel. Because over time, showing up becomes your edge. It gives you consistency, and consistency gives you results. And those results become the confidence you've been missing. There's no shortcut around this. There's no way to cheat your way into a strong mind or a stable life. It comes from doing the work daily, waking up and deciding to take care of your health, choosing to keep your word, taking responsibility for your actions, focusing on what matters, not what distracts. These are the habits that create a future you'll be proud of. Every decision has a consequence. And when you repeat the same decision enough times, it becomes your path. If you choose discipline today, and again tomorrow, and again the day after, you build a road that leads somewhere solid. But if you keep choosing distraction, comfort, or laziness, that road leads to regret, not right away, but eventually. And by then, it's a lot harder to turn around. That's why it's important to ask yourself, not once, but often, what are my habits doing to my future? Are they helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Are they building my confidence or draining it? Are they getting me closer to who I want to be or pulling me further away? And here's the thing. Changing your habits doesn't require a massive overhaul. You don't need to flip your life upside down. You just need to start being more intentional. One better choice each day. One act of discipline you didn't do yesterday. One commitment followed through, even when it was uncomfortable. That's how change begins. That's how habits shift. And once they shift, the direction of your life changes with them. Nobody sees the effort in the beginning. Nobody applauds when you say no to distraction and yes to discipline. But you don't need praise. You need progress. You need to look in the mirror and know that you're moving forward, not standing still. That's what daily habits give you. The quiet assurance that even on tough days, you're still growing. You're still building something strong. The future isn't written in one day. It's written in thousands of small, ordinary days. The kind of days most people waste. The kind of days you can choose to use. The question is, what will your habits write for you? What story will they tell in the years to come? Discipline isn't something you find. It's something you build. And you build it by doing what needs to be done. Even when it's hard. Even when it's boring. Even when no one else is doing it. Especially then. That's how habits become powerful. That's how they shape your future. Not with big moments, but with steady, repeated action. Day in, day out. Choice after choice. That's how your life becomes something you can be proud of. Number 3, don't wait for motivation. Rely on discipline. People spend too much time waiting to feel something before they do something. They wait to feel ready, wait to feel inspired, wait to feel energetic. But the truth is, those feelings come and go. They are temporary, unreliable. If you keep depending on motivation, you'll keep stopping and starting. You'll have good days, followed by wasted days. That kind of pattern doesn't take you far. What moves your life forward is discipline, not what you feel, but what you decide to do, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is what gets you up when you're tired. It's what keeps you focused when your mind starts to wander. It's what pushes you to finish when it's easier to quit. You won't always feel like doing the hard things. You won't always be in the mood. That's normal. But you have to make a choice. Do you want results or do you want comfort? Because you rarely get both. If your days are ruled by your moods, you'll end up being inconsistent. You'll do the right thing when you feel like it, and avoid it when you don't. That creates a life full of gaps in progress, gaps in growth, gaps in commitment. And those gaps don't close on their own. They get wider until one day you look back and realize how much time you've lost. Discipline removes those gaps. It gives you steadiness. It makes you reliable. When you rely on discipline, you don't need a perfect environment. You don't need good weather, supportive people, or perfect timing. You simply do the work. You wake up and follow through on what you said you'd do. That kind of consistency is rare, but it's also powerful. It separates the dreamers from the doers. You don't have to feel inspired to take action. In fact, most of your progress will happen on days when you feel the opposite. Days when you'd rather stay in bed, when your mind tries to talk you out of it, when nothing seems exciting. That's the moment where discipline steps in. It doesn't ask for your views. It asks for your decision. The people who get ahead are not always the most talented. They're not the ones who have perfect plans or endless energy. They're the ones who act anyway. They take the next step, whether they're motivated or not. They show up when it's difficult. They train when it's boring. They work when it's uncomfortable. That's what discipline is. Doing the right thing even when you don't feel like it. Think about the times you've made progress in the past. Real, meaningful progress. Chances are, it didn't happen because of a sudden wave of motivation. It happened because you pushed yourself. You didn't wait for the right feeling. You acted with purpose. That's what you need to repeat again and again until it becomes natural to act with discipline rather than wait for inspiration. You build trust with yourself through your actions, not your thoughts, not your goals, not your feelings. When you say you're going to do something and then you do it, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that your word means something. And when you do that enough times, your confidence starts to grow. Not because someone gave it to you, but because you earned it. Motivation might give you a quick burst of energy, but it fades. It can't carry you through the long road of growth. Discipline can. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It doesn't make excuses. It doesn't need a reason. It just reminds you of what you committed to, and it gets you to act. That kind of internal strength changes the way you live. It changes how you see yourself. It changes what you believe you're capable of. Waiting for motivation can be dangerous. It creates delays. It makes you passive. It convinces you that something outside of you has to change before you can start. But discipline gives you control. It gives you ownership. It shifts the power back into your hands. You don't need to be pumped up. You need to be honest with yourself and consistent in your effort. That's the foundation for any kind of lasting result. You also have to understand that discipline is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Every time you take action without waiting for motivation, you train yourself. You teach your brain that your values matter more than your feelings, that your priorities matter more than your mood. And over time, that mindset starts to drive everything you do. Think about the person you want to become. Think about what they do every day, how they act, how they handle difficulty. Now ask yourself, are you behaving like that person today? Because if you're not, you're waiting. And if you're waiting, you're losing time. Discipline shortens that gap. It turns intention into action. It makes you the kind of person who lives with purpose, not just ideas. Motivation might show up once in a while, and when it does, it feels great. But don't depend on it. It's not stable. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't follow a schedule. Discipline does. Discipline is there when it's raining, when you're tired, when the world feels heavy. Discipline gets you moving when nothing else does. And once you start moving, everything begins to shift. If you want a better life, stop asking how you feel. Start asking what needs to be done. Then do it. That decision, repeated again and again, becomes your edge. It becomes your strength. And that strength is what will carry you forward when everything else fades. Number 4, every day you skip, you fall behind. Time doesn't stop just because you decide to. The world keeps turning. Other people keep working. The clock keeps ticking. Whether you choose to move or not, the minutes pass. That's why every day you skip matters. Every time you put something off, you don't just pause your progress, you lose ground. You fall behind, not only on your goals, but on the person you're trying to become. You might think, skipping one day won't hurt. You tell yourself you'll catch up tomorrow. But tomorrow doesn't wait for your excuses. And what started as one missed day becomes two, then a week. Then you've lost momentum. You've lost rhythm. You've lost the feeling of commitment that only builds through action. It's not the size of the effort that counts, it's the consistency of it. When you stop showing up, even for a short time, your mind starts to forget what it means to stay disciplined. Your focus drifts. You begin to justify things that a week ago you wouldn't have tolerated. You lower your standard without realizing it. That's how people fall off track. Not through one big failure, but through many small choices. To delay, to avoid, to do nothing. You don't need to be perfect every day. That's not the point. But when you keep skipping the things that matter, you train your mind to believe they're optional. And once you see discipline as optional, it becomes easier and easier to ignore. Until one day, you're not even pretending to try anymore. You're just existing, hoping something will change, when deep down you know it won't, unless you get back to work. You don't get stronger by thinking about working hard. You don't improve by wishing. It happens through effort, repeated again and again. Progress doesn't reward intention. It rewards follow-through. And when you let days go by without showing up for your goals, you lose more than time. You lose sharpness. You lose the fire inside that comes from knowing you did what needed to be done. There are people out there who want the same things you want. They have similar dreams, maybe even similar challenges. But while you're resting, they're moving. While you're making excuses, they're making progress. That's the reality. It's not personal. It's just how things work. Discipline doesn't pause. It either grows or shrinks, depending on how you treat it. If you ignore it long enough, it weakens. The people who keep going, even when it's hard, even when they're tired, are the ones who separate themselves from the rest. They understand that each day is a chance to build, to sharpen, to improve. And they don't waste those chances. They know that skipping a day doesn't just push things to tomorrow. It sets them back. It makes the road longer. It makes the climb steeper. You have to remember that your time is limited. You don't get these days back. Once they're gone, they're gone. If you didn't use them wisely, they don't leave behind anything of value. That's why your actions today matter so much. They might seem small now, but they shape your future. And when you skip them, you miss out on a piece of that future. It's not about being obsessed. It's about being honest. Honest with yourself about what you want and what it takes to get there. If your goals matter to you, you have to treat them like they matter. That means showing up even when it's inconvenient. It means doing the work even when you're not in the mood. Every skipped day chips away at your progress. It slows your pace. It makes it harder to keep your promises to yourself. Each time you choose not to act, you're making a trade. You're trading growth for comfort, progress for distraction, momentum for stillness. And over time, those trades catch up to you. They leave you further from your goals and closer to regret. That's the truth people don't want to hear. But it's the truth that sets you free once you decide to face it. You don't need motivation to keep going. You need purpose. You need to know why it matters to keep showing up. And once you understand that, it becomes easier to resist the urge to skip. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop making excuses. You begin to move with a different kind of strength. Not emotional strength, but the kind of strength that comes from values, from character. Think about where you could be a year from now if you stopped skipping, if you stopped delaying, if you followed through on your daily commitments, even when it was uncomfortable. The difference wouldn't be small. It would be life-changing. That's the power of consistency. That's what you're giving up. every time you choose not to act. It's easy to say, I'll get back on track. But the best way to stay on track is to stop stepping off it. Even a small step forward is better than none. Even a slow day of progress is better than nothing at all. What counts is that you kept your promise to yourself, that you didn't let your mind talk you into quitting, that you respected your goals enough to keep working on them, one day at a time. Skipping a day isn't just missing a workout, a study session, or a project deadline. It's missing a chance to become more disciplined. It's passing up the opportunity to prove to yourself that you can be reliable, steady, focused. When you skip today, it becomes easier to skip tomorrow. But when you show up today, even for just a little, it becomes easier to show up again. That's how habits are formed. That's how discipline is built. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that time will wait for you. It won't. Life keeps moving, and if you're not moving with it, you're falling behind. Not just behind others, but behind the version of yourself that you could be. The version that doesn't make excuses. The version that keeps going, even when no one's watching. The version that knows discipline is the key to building a future worth living. Number 5. Discipline protects you from regret. Later on. Most people don't realize how much regret weighs until it shows up. It doesn't come with noise or flashing lights. It arrives quietly, years later, when it's too late to go back and do things differently. It shows up when you're older, when your options are fewer, when the time you wasted starts to hurt. That's why discipline matters. It's not just about getting things done today. It's about protecting your future from that pain. It's about acting now so you don't carry the weight of I could have, I should have, and I wish I had. Discipline is uncomfortable in the moment, but it spares you the sting of looking back and realizing you didn't give your best. The truth is, the hard choices you make now will save you from much harder feelings later. The choice to get up early, to stay focused, to do the difficult thing. It doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it gives you something powerful, peace of mind. You can look back without shame. You can say, I showed up. I didn't waste it. Regret doesn't care how good your intentions were. It doesn't accept excuses. It only asks one question. Did you do what needed to be done when it needed doing? And if the answer is no, that's where the pain begins. You can't go back and relive your 20s. You can't rewind and fix a broken opportunity. Once it's gone, it's gone. What you can do, though, is protect yourself from that day ever coming. And that protection is called discipline. People often chase quick relief. They want comfort. They want ease, but they don't think about the cost. Every time you choose ease over effort, you're borrowing from your future. You're taking peace from tomorrow and spending it on comfort today. And the interest on that debt is when you finally realize what you've lost. Time, health, chances. It cuts deep. Living with discipline means choosing to pay the price now, not later. It means understanding that discomfort now is better than regret later. It means giving your full effort today, even when no one's watching, because you know the reward is coming. You might not feel it yet, but you're building something strong, something your future self will thank you for. People often say they want to be happy, but lasting happiness doesn't come from laziness. It comes from knowing you lived with purpose, that you showed up when it counted, that you didn't let yourself down. Happiness comes from self-respect, and self-respect comes from discipline. You can't fake that. You can't talk your way into it. You earn it. There's a moment that comes for all of us when we're forced to reflect. It might be during a quiet evening, or a tough season, or a birthday when we wonder where the years went. That moment either brings peace or pain, and that's decided by what you do today. Not what you plan, not what you dream, but what you actually get done. Discipline isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's a choice you make to avoid suffering later. It helps you take control of your time, your habits, and your results. Without it, life becomes reactive. You end up cleaning up messes instead of building what matters. You end up fixing what you could have prevented. You find yourself working harder just to catch up when you could have stayed ahead. It's tempting to push things off, to say, I'll do it tomorrow, or next week I'll be better. But that line of thinking is what builds regret, because days turn into weeks, weeks turn into years, and the progress you could have made just slips through your fingers. Time moves forward. You don't get extra chances just because you meant well. Discipline is how you stay in the fight. It's how you keep your promise to yourself, even when no one else is holding you to it. It's not always easy. There will be mornings when you want to hit snooze, evenings when distractions call your name, days when the pressure feels too high. But that's exactly when discipline is most important. When the temptation to quit shows up, you have to remember what's at stake. Your future is shaped in those moments, one choice at a time. The people who live without regret are not lucky. They are intentional. They know that sacrifice today leads to strength tomorrow. They know that skipping the shortcut and sticking with the hard road leads to better rewards. They may not always feel like doing the work, but they do it anyway, because they know the pain of discipline is nothing compared to the pain of wishing they had done more. You get one shot at life, and while that can be a heavy thought, it should also be a freeing one, because it means your choices matter. Your effort matters. You can't control everything, but you can control whether or not you give your full energy to the things that matter most. That's where discipline comes in. It guides your time. It protects your potential. It turns today's effort into tomorrow's peace. A life without discipline feels good for a while. You can sleep in. You can take the easy path. You can avoid the discomfort of growth. But there's a cost, and that cost adds up until you're standing in the future you didn't want, asking yourself how you got there. That's what regret does. It makes you face the truth that you could have done better, but didn't. Don't put yourself in that position. Don't hand your future over to laziness or fear. Don't gamble with your potential. Discipline isn't a burden. It's your protection. It guards you from the quiet pain of knowing you let your chance slip away. It builds a foundation that holds up under pressure, and it lets you live with the kind of freedom that only comes from knowing you gave everything you had. Number 6, structure your day, or your day runs you. When you wake up without a plan, the day pulls you in every direction. You check your phone, answer a few messages, maybe scroll a bit, and before you know it, an hour is gone. You do a few random things, get distracted, try to catch up, and by evening you feel exhausted, but unsure of what you even accomplished. That's what happens when the day controls you instead of the other way around. It leads to scattered focus, low productivity, and a sense of wasted time. The truth is, if you don't take charge of your time, something or someone else will. That's why structure matters. Structure doesn't mean being rigid. It means being responsible. It means setting clear priorities and building your time around what actually moves your life forward. Most people underestimate how much control they have. They think the day just gets away from them, when in reality it slipped away because there was no grip to hold on to it. A structured day is a clear day. You wake up knowing what matters. You know what comes next, and you know what success looks like by the end of it. You don't have to plan every minute, but you do need direction. You need to start the day with clarity. Ask yourself, what must get done today? What moves the needle? What supports your goals, your values, your progress? Once you have the answers, those become your anchors. Without anchors, the tide of life drags you wherever it wants. With them, you stay steady and focused, even when things get chaotic. Structure brings peace. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It keeps you from jumping from task to task, chasing the urgent while ignoring the important. It gives your mind a rhythm, a flow. You're not guessing what to do next. You already decided. That clarity frees up mental energy. It reduces stress. You're not overwhelmed because you've already decided what's worth your time. The people who get things done don't wait for perfect conditions. They build habits that support them. They decide when they start, how long they work, and when they take breaks. They understand that randomness breeds chaos. If your schedule is loose, your results will be too. Discipline lives in structure. Success builds on routine. Excellence grows in the spaces you protect. With purpose. There's a difference between being busy and being productive. You can fill a whole day with activity and still feel empty. But when your day is structured around your highest priorities, even a few solid hours can make a powerful difference. That's how you gain momentum. That's how progress compounds. One day of intention turns into a week. A few weeks stack into a month. Before long, you've built something real. You also have to protect your structure. The world is full of distractions, notifications, requests, interruptions. If you let everything in, you lose focus. You need boundaries around your time. If something isn't part of your plan, it doesn't get your full attention, not because you're being rude, but because your time is valuable. You're building something, and that deserves respect. It helps to start the night before. Before you go to bed, take 5 minutes to think about tomorrow. Write down your top tasks. Choose the one thing you absolutely must complete. That little practice sets the tone. You don't wake up wondering what to do. You begin with purpose. You begin with discipline. You start strong, and a strong start builds confidence for the rest of the day. You also need structure for rest. Don't make your whole day about work. Structure allows time to recharge. It gives space for breaks, meals, family, and quiet moments. Without structure, everything blends together. Work creeps into rest. Rest gets sacrificed for distraction. But with structure, you get more done and enjoy your time off more deeply. Some people think structure kills freedom. That's not true. Chaos kills freedom. When you're unorganized, you waste time cleaning up problems you could have avoided. But when you're intentional, you get ahead. You finish your work on time. You feel good about what you've done. You make room for the things you care about. That's real freedom. Structure builds confidence. Every time you complete what you set out to do, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You begin to trust yourself. That trust grows into self-respect. And self-respect is fuel for more discipline. It's a cycle that starts with one decision: to own your day instead of drifting through it. It doesn't take a complicated system. All it takes is awareness and action. Wake up at the plan. Put your most important work early in the day, when your energy is fresh. Group similar tasks together. Keep your phone out of reach when you're focused. Schedule time to eat, move, think. Keep your commitments to yourself. These aren't massive changes, but they change everything. You don't have to be perfect. You'll have days when things go sideways. That's part of it. But if your life has structure, it's easier to bounce back. You're not starting from scratch. You're returning to your system. That structure keeps you grounded when things get tough. It's your guide when motivation runs low. When you live without structure, you gamble with your future. You put your time in the hands of chance. But when you build your day with discipline, you know where your effort is going. You know your energy isn't wasted. You stop surviving the day and start shaping it. That's the power of structure. It turns every day into a tool for growth. It gives you control, focus, and peace of mind. It keeps your life on track, one solid intentional day at a time. Number 7. Your goals mean nothing without discipline. You can dream all you want. You can write your goals in notebooks, stick them on your wall, visualize them every morning. But if you don't have discipline, none of it will take you anywhere. The goal is just the destination. It's where you want to go. But discipline is the road. It's the fuel. It's the steps you take every single day that actually move you toward it. Without discipline, goals are just words. They sound nice. They make you feel hopeful. But that feeling fades fast when the real work starts and you're not prepared to follow through. It's easy to sit down and say, I want to be successful, or I want to get fit, or I want to start my own business. Those words are easy to say, but goals don't care about how badly you want them. They respond to action. They respond to follow through. They respond to the person who shows up day after day, even when it's not exciting, even when no one's watching, even when the mood isn't there. That's discipline. Discipline is doing it anyway. It's putting in the work without needing applause. You've probably met people who talk big. They're always talking about what they're going to do. You hear them say, just wait until next year, or once I get a little more time, I'll really get serious. But time passes and nothing changes. Why? Because there's no structure behind the words, no daily effort, no commitment to the process. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It just gets up early. It keeps the promise, and it does the job. It doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It doesn't need the stars to align. Your goals should challenge you. They should stretch your limits. But if you haven't built discipline, they'll always stay out of reach. You'll get frustrated. Not because the goal is impossible, but because you haven't built the foundation to carry the weight of what you're aiming for. Goals require preparation. They demand consistency. You can't show up one day, skip the next 3, and expect results. Growth doesn't work like that. Progress only happens when there's a pattern of daily effort. Discipline turns a vague dream into a real result. It breaks down the big vision into pieces and handles one at a time. You can't reach a 10-year goal in a day, but you can move 1 inch closer by doing something today. That's the beauty of discipline. It focuses on the next right step. It doesn't ask if you feel like it. It just says, what has to be done right now? And then it does it. That's how things start to build. That's how success is earned. If you don't train yourself to stick to a schedule, to manage your energy, to resist distractions, then your goals become fragile. Any setback knocks you off. Any excuse sounds reasonable. Any delay feels justified. That's the danger of living without discipline. You fall into patterns of comfort. And comfort has a way of slowing everything down. Goals live outside your comfort zone. You won't get there by doing what's easy. You get there by doing what's necessary. When you have discipline, your goals stop being a fantasy and start becoming your focus. You start tracking progress. You start making decisions based on what serves your mission, not what's convenient in the moment. You think longer term. You say no to things that steal your time. You stay committed, even when the results are slow, and results are often slow. That's why discipline is so powerful. It doesn't panic when progress takes time. It keeps working. It keeps showing up. It keeps moving forward, one honest effort after another. If you're serious about what you want, you'll stop asking for shortcuts. You'll stop looking for motivation, because you'll realize motivation isn't what drives success. Discipline is. You might feel motivated once in a while, and that's fine. But discipline is what keeps you on track when that feeling is gone. Most days you won't feel inspired. You'll be tired. You'll be distracted. You'll be tempted to push it off. That's when discipline steps in and says, we're doing this anyway. That's when real growth happens. You don't need perfect plans. You need consistent effort. You don't have to wait for the right time. You have to start with what you have. Build your discipline with simple habits. Wake up at the same time. Follow a daily routine. Set a few non-negotiables and stick to them. That's where confidence comes from. Not just from dreaming, but from doing. Every small act of discipline becomes proof that you can rely on yourself. That trust you build in yourself becomes the foundation for everything else. There are no secrets. There's no magic formula. If your goals matter, discipline is the price you pay. No one else can do it for you. And if you abandon discipline, you abandon the path. You start over, again and again. You lose time. You lose momentum. You lose belief. But when you live with discipline, you gain all of that back. You gain focus. You gain strength. You gain the ability to turn intention into outcome. Think about what you want 5 years from now. Think about where you want to be, what kind of life you want to live. Then ask yourself, what habits support that? And once you know, build discipline around them. Protect them. Make them non-negotiable. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Miss a day, start again, lose focus, reset. Discipline isn't about never falling off. It's about coming back stronger each time. That's what separates people who make it from those who just talk about it. They do the work even when it's uncomfortable. They stay consistent when it's not exciting. They stay aligned with their vision because they've built discipline into their life. They don't rely on luck. They don't wait for permission. They show up, stay steady, and keep going. Goals without discipline are just wishes, but goals with discipline become your reality. One choice, one step, one disciplined day at a time. Number 8, self-respect grows when discipline is practiced. When you choose to live with discipline, you're making a quiet agreement with yourself. You're saying, I'm worth the effort. I'm worth showing up for. That might sound simple, but it changes everything. Because when you stick to the promises you make to yourself, something shifts inside. You start to see yourself differently. You don't need praise from others. You don't need validation from the outside. You begin to feel something stronger, self-respect. That feeling comes not from talking about what you're going to do, but from actually doing it. Not once in a while. Not just when the mood hits. Every day. You begin to trust yourself when you follow through, when you push past distractions, when you choose what's right over what's easy. That builds a kind of confidence that no one can give you and no one can take away. We live in a world where it's easy to cut corners. It's easy to let things slide. It's easy to promise you'll do better tomorrow while breaking today's commitment. But that kind of living chips away at how you see yourself. You may not notice it right away, but deep down you feel it. You feel disappointed. You feel like you let yourself down. And if that happens often enough, you stop believing in your own word. That's why discipline matters so much. It's not just about your goals. It's about the relationship you have with yourself. It's about standing on a solid foundation that says, if I say I'll do it, I will. That's not just power. That's dignity. That's pride. That's character. Every time you wake up and do what you said you'd do, go to the gym, read that book, keep your space clean, focus on your tasks, you're strengthening that inner bond. You're showing yourself that your time matters, that your effort counts, that you are not someone who needs to be pushed or reminded every step of the way. You're someone who takes ownership of your life. The opposite is also true. Every time you delay, make excuses, or avoid what you know needs to be done, it leaves a mark. It might not feel like a big deal at first, but over time, it builds a habit of letting yourself down. That habit drains your energy. It steals your confidence. It keeps you feeling stuck and unsure of yourself. That's not a life of freedom. That's a life where you always second-guess your own potential. Discipline gives you the power to look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of the way I live. Not because it's perfect, but because it's honest, because it's real, because it's consistent. Discipline doesn't require perfection. It just requires that you care enough to try every day, even in small ways. The result of that effort isn't just achievement, it's self-respect. When you're disciplined, you don't have to rely on others to hold you together. You don't need people to chase you down to get things done. You take responsibility. You take the lead. You don't wait. You act. And when you do that enough, you feel strong inside. You know that no matter what's going on around you, you have control over how you respond. That's one of the best parts of discipline. It gives you control in a world full of noise and pressure. While others get lost in distractions, you stay focused. While others complain, you make adjustments. While others fall apart in chaos, you hold steady. Not because life is easier for you, but because you trained yourself to stay grounded. Self-respect is built through those choices, through the quiet moments when no one's watching, and you still choose to do the work, through the times when quitting seems easier, but you decide to stay in it anyway, through the times when no one claps for your efforts, and you keep going, because you're not doing it for applause, you're doing it because it matters to you. Discipline doesn't have to be harsh or rigid. It can be steady and calm. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about guiding yourself. It's about keeping your eyes on what matters and not letting momentary feelings pull you away from long-term values. When you live this way, You start to feel clear-headed. You feel balanced. You don't need to chase after motivation or inspiration. You're already anchored. That's a powerful way to live, because when you respect yourself, you stop settling for less. You stop putting up with things that don't match your standards. You stop wasting time on habits that keep you small. You start setting a tone for your life that says, I'm serious about where I'm going. And when you carry that kind of energy, other people notice. They respect it because they see that you respect yourself. People often think discipline means restriction, but it's the opposite. It's the key to freedom. When you live with discipline, you don't get pulled around by impulses. You don't make decisions that you regret 5 minutes later. You act with intention. You choose what adds value. That way of living gives you peace of mind. You go to bed at night knowing you gave your best. You wake up knowing you have a direction. That kind of peace can't be bought. It has to be earned through daily choices. It's not always easy. There will be days when you're tired, days when things go wrong, days when you want to shut down. But those are the days that matter most. Because the more you practice discipline in difficult moments, the stronger you become. And every time you get back up, you add another layer to your self-respect. You prove to yourself that you're not the kind of person who gives up when it gets hard. You are the kind who rises. This is how you build a life you're proud of, not by luck, not by chance, but by choice, by showing up again and again and keeping your word, by doing what you know needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's what makes you trustworthy to others, and most importantly, to yourself. That's where real self-respect is born. Number 9, stay disciplined even when no one is watching. Discipline is not about being seen or applauded. It's about the choices made in silence away from the spotlight. The real test of your character happens when no one is there to notice what you do. It's easy to do the right thing when others are watching. It takes courage and strength to do the right thing when you're alone. That's where discipline lives. In the quiet moments where only you know what you're really doing. There's something powerful about acting with integrity when no one's watching. It shows that your commitment runs deeper than praise or approval. It means you care about your own standards more than outside recognition. This kind of discipline shapes your character over time. It's not a one-time event. It's a daily decision to keep your promises to yourself, even if nobody else is aware. Think about the times when you have the option to cut corners, skip a task, or take an easier path. It's tempting to give in. No one will know. No one will call you out. But in that moment, your self-respect is on the line. Every small choice you make builds or breaks the trust you have in yourself. When you stay disciplined without an audience, you're showing yourself that you matter. You're saying, my values don't depend on others. I am my own standard. This is where many people lose their way. They wait for external pressure, someone to push or remind them. They depend on others' eyes to keep them honest. But relying on outside forces to keep discipline is like building a house on shaky ground. It won't hold up when the storm comes. True strength comes from within. You become the person who can stand firm no matter the circumstances. When no one is watching, distractions grow louder. It's easier to let your focus slip. Temptations feel stronger. This is the moment when discipline becomes a muscle you have to exercise. It might feel uncomfortable. You might want to give up. But pushing through that discomfort is what builds real growth. That's the secret that separates those who achieve from those who settle. There's also a quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you did what was right, even if it went unnoticed. That feeling builds confidence quietly, but surely. It's a foundation that supports you when challenges arise. When you're tested by bigger obstacles, you can look back and remember the times you stood firm when no one was around. That memory becomes a source of strength. Many people think discipline requires harsh rules or self-punishment. That's not true. Discipline is about respect. Respect for your time, your goals, and your future. It's about honoring the effort you want to put into your life. When you practice discipline privately, you learn to appreciate your own company. You become comfortable with your own expectations. That's a gift not everyone gives themselves. This private discipline often reflects in the quality of your work. Tasks get done well not because of deadlines or supervisors, but because you care about doing a good job. Your relationships improve because you keep your promises and show up consistent. Your health benefits because you make wise choices even when no one reminds you. This unseen effort sets the stage for visible success. One of the greatest challenges is staying disciplined when the outcome isn't immediate. You don't always get quick feedback. Progress can feel slow or invisible. It's tempting to lose focus when you don't see results right away. But discipline means trusting the process. It means believing in the power of consistent effort, even if the rewards are far down the road. When you choose discipline in private, you are investing in a future self that will thank you. You are creating habits that grow stronger over time. Each day you stay committed, even in the smallest ways. You are building a legacy of reliability and perseverance. That legacy doesn't require an audience to exist. It exists in your actions, your mindset, and your integrity. You might feel like the sacrifices are too much sometimes, that the invisible work isn't worth it. But those moments are tests. They are invitations to deepen your commitment. When you meet those tests with discipline, you strengthen your ability to handle bigger challenges later on. That strength becomes a part of who you are. Discipline practiced in private also helps you handle criticism and doubt from others. When you know you did your part well, you don't need others' approval to feel good about your efforts. You stand grounded and confident, because your self-worth doesn't depend on applause. It depends on your own choices and action. It's important to remember that discipline doesn't mean you have to be perfect. Everyone has moments of weakness. Everyone slips up sometimes. What matters is how you respond when you do. Do you give up or do you get back on track? The willingness to recommit over and over, even after mistakes, is the essence of true discipline. The quiet moments of discipline are a gift you give yourself. They build a quiet confidence that shines through in every area of life. When you practice discipline behind closed doors, it becomes natural to carry that strength into public moments. You don't need an audience to be motivated, because your inner drive is enough. Choosing to stay disciplined when no one is watching means living with honesty. It means holding yourself accountable. It means caring about the small things, because they add up to the big things. It means building a character that you can trust, no matter the situation. That trust in yourself will guide you through uncertainty. It will keep you moving when motivation fades. It will protect you from regret, because you know you gave your best, even when no one noticed. The life you build from this kind of discipline is steady, strong, and fulfilling. There's no shortcut to this kind of commitment. It requires patience, persistence, and a clear sense of purpose. But the rewards are worth every effort. When you stay disciplined away from the eyes of others, you build something real and lasting, an unshakable foundation of integrity and self-respect. Number 10, discipline every day builds freedom later on. Discipline feels like a restriction at first. It often looks like a set of rules, a daily grind, or a list of things you have to do. It's easy to resist because it demands effort, consistency, and sacrifice. But that same discipline, practiced day after day, opens doors to freedom in ways that surprise most people. The freedom you want to live life on your own terms starts with what you choose to do consistently today. When discipline is missing, life becomes chaotic. You feel stuck, like you're always reacting instead of acting. The decisions you make are often driven by immediate desires, impulses, or distractions. Without a clear path, it's easy to get lost in the noise. Discipline brings order. It creates a structure that lets you take control instead of being controlled by circumstances or emotions. It gives you the power to decide your direction, not just drift along. Every time you say no to a distraction or yes to a productive habit, you're investing in your future freedom. It's like planting seeds in a garden. You don't see the plants grow overnight, but day by day, the roots dig deep and the stems grow tall. The work you do now builds something stable that you can lean on later. The tasks that seem hard today become the foundation for a life with more choices tomorrow. Discipline makes your goals more than just wishes. When you show up for yourself every day, when you push through discomfort and keep going, you start to build momentum. That momentum brings results, and those results bring opportunities. Opportunities to choose how you spend your time. Opportunities to stop worrying about money or obligations. That's real freedom. It's the freedom to do what matters most to you, because you prepared yourself for it. Many people think freedom means doing whatever feels good in the moment. But true freedom comes from the ability to say no to short-term temptations in favor of long-term rewards. Discipline is the tool that makes this possible. Without it, choices feel like chains, holding you back from the life you want. With discipline, choices become windows, opening wide to new possibilities. The daily commitment to discipline also helps you avoid regret. When you follow through on your plans and goals, you build confidence and self-respect. That confidence grows stronger when you look back and see how your efforts paid off. Regret happens when you know you didn't put in the work or made poor decisions because of lack of control. Discipline guards against that by keeping you focused and consistent. One of the most important things discipline builds is time. It might seem strange at first, because discipline requires you to stick to routines and schedules. But over time, discipline creates efficiency and productivity. You waste time deciding what to do or dealing with consequences of poor choices. Your days become clearer, more organized, and full of purpose. With more control over your time, you gain freedom to spend it however you want. Financial freedom is also closely tied to discipline. Making smart choices about money every day, saving, investing, avoiding impulsive spending, requires consistent discipline. It may feel like a sacrifice now, but it pays off with security and options later. Being disciplined with money gives you the ability to handle emergencies, take breaks, or pursue passions without constant stress. That's a form of freedom most people never experience because they never commit to discipline. Another layer of freedom that discipline builds is emotional freedom. When you train yourself to be disciplined, you gain control over your emotions. You don't let frustration, fear, or laziness dictate your actions. Instead, you decide how to respond. This emotional control brings peace and stability. You can handle setbacks without losing your way. That inner calm is a kind of freedom that supports every part of your life. Discipline also creates freedom in relationships. When you are reliable and consistent, people trust you more. Your word becomes meaningful. You become someone others can count on. That trust builds deeper connections and stronger support networks. The freedom to build meaningful relationships comes from the discipline of showing up and being dependable. It's important to recognize that discipline is not about being perfect or rigid. It's about making intentional choices that align with your values and goals. It's about building habits that serve you, not punish you. When discipline is practiced this way, it becomes a powerful tool for creating a life where you are in charge, not circumstances. As you continue to practice discipline every day, you'll notice something else. It becomes easier. The initial resistance fades. What's felt like a struggle turns into a rhythm. That rhythm supports your growth and strengthens your ability to handle bigger challenges. Each day of discipline is a step toward a future where your decisions aren't controlled by external forces, but by your own clear vision and determination. The freedom discipline builds isn't given, it's earned. It's the result of small, consistent actions repeated over time. When you commit to discipline, you're making a promise to yourself, a promise to live intentionally and create options instead of limits. That promise shapes your life more than luck or talent ever could. It's worth imagining what freedom means to you personally. Is it financial security? More time with loved ones? The ability to travel or pursue your passion? Discipline is the bridge that connects your dreams to reality. Without it, those dreams remain distant. With it, they come within reach. Staying disciplined every day means you're actively shaping your future. You're deciding what kind of life you want and doing the work to get there. It means recognizing that freedom isn't just about what you can do now, but what you prepare yourself to do later. Each disciplined choice you make today builds a foundation for tomorrow's independence. That foundation is strong because it is built with purpose, and it allows you to face uncertainty with confidence. It gives you power over your time, your emotions, your money, and your relationships. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It is its greatest ally. The effort you put into discipline every day is an investment with huge return. It's the key to unlocking a life where you don't feel trapped by your circumstances. Instead, you create the life you want, one where freedom is not a dream, but a reality you live.